Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So as some of you may already know, the ones that are subscribed and have been following me for a while, I've been working a little bit with teaching you guys about feminine energy and different meditation techniques that you can use. Now I'm gonna be talking a little bit about yoga for feminine energy, and this is quite important as I'm a yoga teacher. I have the most knowledge to share with you on different yoga techniques, and this is how I practice yoga for feminine energy. So if you want to hear more about the different techniques, different flows, different parts of the body that you can focus on to tap into your feminine energy, stay tuned. And let's get started without any further ado. Okay, so as with the meditation, I would say the most important thing with yoga for feminine energy or just working with your feminine energy in general is just setting that intention of I want to do this. This is what I want to achieve. This is the path that I want to take. And just kind of setting the intention of, okay, I'm on my mat today to try to open up, to try to tap into that energy, into that vibration, into that mindset of becoming more feminine. So the number one most important thing is really setting that intention. And once you have that intention, you're automatically manifesting that energy. So let's get into maybe some more specific yoga techniques. So in today's video, I have 3 techniques for you. First, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the passive Yin Yoga. Then we're going to be talking a little bit more about the active side of things and how you can manifest feminine energy through a little bit more active yoga. And then it's going to be working with the elements. Okay, so technique number 1 is Yin Yoga. So as I've spoken about in my previous video, Yin Yoga is going to allow you to tap into that slow, cool, dark, feminine energy. So Yin is automatically associated with the female, with womanhood. And if you want any more details, please check out my last video. So Yin Yoga is just generally a very slow practice where we hold the postures for a really long time. Now, the best way that you can bring some feminine focus into your Yin practice, which is anyways gonna carry that energy, but to bring a little bit more extra oomph into it, would be to focus on your hips. And there are 3 different angles that you can open your hips from, so let's talk about each of them. First angle is gonna be your psoas, which is the front of the hip. So if I stand like this, these are my hips, or my hands are my hips, right? And then my thighs are my forearms. Well, your psoas is gonna be right here, where your thigh connects to your hip. And the best way to do this would be any kind of low crescent lunge or low lunge where you can just really allow your hips to sink down and allow that muscle to open up. Generally, any kind of back bends are automatically going to open up the psoas as well. The second angle that you can open your hips is the inner hip and the inner thigh. So these are going to be things like tree pose, like butterfly, like a wide-legged forward fold. And the third angle is going to be the outer hip, which is the gluteus medius. It's a tiny, tiny muscle, but it's very potent. So things like pigeon pose, fire log pose, or double pigeon, depends how you call it. These are going to be great postures for opening up that area. And so why the hips? Well, it's because the hips are very much connected to your sacral chakra. So I spoke a lot about this in my previous video. Again, you can and should definitely check it out. But we often say that we also just hold emotion in the hips. So it's very important that you kind of work with opening up the hips to kind of, it also just helps you understand your emotions, your body better, helps you kind of tap into perhaps even your intuition. It has a little bit of an element of that as well. Okay, so technique number 2 is going to be a little bit more active yoga. And there are 2 different ways that you can do this. So number 1 would be a moon salutation. So I already have a video on the moon salutation as well. You can definitely check it out if you're not sure what it is. There are different variations of the moon salutation, but the one that I do in that video is particularly good for feminine energy. It has a lot of hip openers. It has a lot of grounding postures. So it's very much already focused on that. And as some of you may know, the moon is also associated with the feminine. The sun is more masculine. Besides the moon salutation, another great way that you can add a little bit of feminine focus into a more active practice would be any kind of back bends in a kind of vinyasa practice. So if you practice a little bit more high-paced classes, just adding a little bit of focus on back bends, on opening your chest and your heart. So I also just discussed a little bit about this in my previous meditation video. This just serves the purpose of kind of opening your heart so that you can kind of put into the universe the energy that you want to receive back. So everything that you're working with, all of your feminine energy that you're building, slowly fostering and manifesting, you're able to then kind of share with the world. You share your light, you open up your heart. So all of these things that you've been working on, you can, with an open heart, bring out into the world. So this is why also back bends are great, very much related to the heart chakra. All right, last technique for today is going to be working with the elements. So the elements that are associated with more feminine energy are going to be water and earth. So for water yoga, think something like a very flowy vinyasa with very fluid, round, open movements. Think a lot about opening up your hips, things like hip circles, back bending flows where you just do maybe spinal waves or anything like that. So just thinking of really the qualities of water, how it flows, and just bringing that softness, bringing that roundness, that openness, and that fluidity into your practice. Now, earth, as you can imagine, is a little bit different. So it's a little bit more static. Both of your feet need to be really grounded into the mat. You need to feel all the corners of your feet really grounded. It's more of a strong practice. So it's a little bit different in that sense, but it's still very powerful in a very different way. It calls for stability, it calls for a little bit of muscle activation, and postures like Warrior 2, Warrior 1, Malasana, these are all gonna be great for that kind of thing. Okay, so these were my top 3 kind of yoga techniques, and just going into a little bit more depth on each one, the different kind of postures and flows that you can do. I hope that it made sense, and I just want to talk a little bit about my Patreon because I just started it. So on my Patreon, I'll be uploading every single week from now on until the end of the year at least. So it's going to be 15-minute videos every week, and the next 4 videos are going to be definitely focused on feminine energy. So we have water yoga, we have earth yoga, we have yin yoga, and we have active yoga. So if you're interested in practicing and just being guided through a yoga class, please check out those videos. This was just a quick explanation on the kinds of postures that are included in those videos. So if you don't really want to think about building your own yoga class, building your own yoga flows, it can be quite overwhelming sometimes, and just want to be guided by a teacher, please check out my Patreon. I'll link it down below. It's only $5 a month. So these are just very accessible classes for any level. From beginner to intermediate, even advanced. It's good to sometimes go back to the basics. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it made sense. Please let me know if you have any questions, any comments. I always reply to comments, and I hope to see as many of you subscribe to my Patreon. It's really fun, really exciting starting this project with you guys, and let me know if you have any suggestions, because of course I listen to you guys and I want to provide you guys with the best content, the content that you want to see. So please let me know. All right, enough for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Namaste.